drug abuse, then you end up, I threw 20 years of my life away, and I didn't sober up till I was 36 years old. Lamontre's going to tell you a little bit about what happens if you do, get prevented from going down that path. And so with that, I'm going to introduce you to Lamontre. Do your stuff.
I say good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming this afternoon. Basically, like Steve said, I'm here pretty much to just share with you all what I feel is very important to help our young people as far as the prevention when it comes to doing drugs, getting involved in drugs, different things of that nature. Let me tell you a brief story about my life in a little small length of time. Again, my name is Lamontre, and I grew up in West Dallas, probably about 10 minutes down the road, not too far from here in West Dallas. And when I grew up in West Dallas, I grew up in the West Dallas housing projects. Back then, at that time, when I was coming up, West Dallas housing projects had the most units, public housing units, on one property in the country. It was 3,500 units in the West Dallas housing projects on one big property. It wasn't a high-rise building, but it was spread it out. So at that time, you had so much going on. Now, me and my friends and everybody in our community, we used to call it the concrete jungle. And we used to call it the concrete jungle because you had all concrete. We didn't have no grass or no lawns or different things like that. Then in the jungle, you always have wild things going on, stuff's always happening. So we referred to it as the concrete jungle. But within the concrete jungle, we thought that was the way of life because that's all we knew. That's all that we seen. That was it from our family, parents to us, never leaving out. Because what was taught to us was how to survive in the jungle, not how to get out the jungle. So while being in the midst of all those things, you're going to get involved in alcohol, drugs, tobacco, all those things that can ruin the start of a young person's life if they don't get the right direction, the right guidance at an early age. So coming up in the jungle, which we called it, I got involved in a lot of things that wasn't good for me, healthy for me, involved with a lot of, seeing drugs, seeing people use drugs, seeing alcoholics every day, seeing violence every day, all these things that I thought really was normal. So coming up as a youngster, it was the Dallas Housing Authority. They was coming around at that time. Dallas Housing Authority was trying to, they saw the problem. They trying to help the young people in the communities. So they reached out to the young kids like myself in West Dallas and said, okay, we might as well get involved with it. So we started getting involved with the Housing Authority. At that time, Drug Prevention Resources had partnered up with the Housing Authority. So they were doing programs with the Housing Authority. They came in and told the Housing Authority, look here, we have some programs that we feel that can help your clients, the people that live on your property, and everything like that. So the Housing Authority, it was good that they was like, okay, we'll see what you got. Now, being in the jungle, that's all we knew, hanging right there in West Dallas. Now, when Drug Prevention Resources came in, they had a great way they approached the situation. They took us out to go camping. Oh, we're going to take you camping. So now we got the opportunity to leave the environment, to see that there is something different. There's a lot of grass, a lot of trees, and all these great things that you get from nature. Now, while we are there at camp, now they have the opportunity to share with us about the prevention of drugs, alcohol, tobacco, how to problem solve, how to decision making, teamwork. We do a lot of teamwork building activities. All these things that we normally wouldn't get or didn't have. But through Drug Prevention Resources, we was able to get that information. So now we go back, get in the situation. Now it was amazing how sometimes, wait a minute, I remember how to deal with this situation. So now start seeing the importance of early intervention as a young person growing up to prevent me from making some of the terrible mistakes that I can make that can ruin my life. So as time went on, I enjoyed it so much where as I got older as a teenager, I actually started working drug prevention. They saw that at that time coming up. And I'm gonna tell you, I really, this first time, now I had a nickname coming up at that time. And my nickname was Killer. That was my nickname. Now, it had some negativity to it, but at that time, a lot of people kind of looked up to me and different things like that. So I was a good person to influence the other young people to get involved. So when I started working with drug prevention, they recognized that. We need to talk to that young man right there. And they reached out to me, and they were like, we want you to really get involved. We seen you come through the program, and we saw different things like that. We realized that you can draw other people to come and benefit the same way you'll benefit. I'm like, no problem. But the good thing about it, I thought I was just going to be helping out and volunteering or whatever, but they go to camp and they would pay me a little bit, and I was like a little youth counselor, you know, working with the other young kids that was coming up under me, and now I'm able to teach them and share with them the same information that was helping me about, you know, it's okay to be an individual. You don't have to always fall for the peer pressure, different things like that, you know. Stay away from, if you have goals, and they used to do exercises where, you know, it might say something like, won't you draw a picture of how you see your future? What type of house you want, what type of car you want, what type of job you want, things of that nature. Then you draw that picture, now you look at where you at right now. The things that might come toward you. What decisions are you willing to make? If you choose the wrong decisions and allow the peer pressure and allow your environment to allow you to get involved with the drugs, the alcohol, and the tobacco, then a lot of times you're not able to accomplish all the goals that you put up that you want to accomplish. So if you want to stay focused and accomplish these goals, there's certain things that you need to do. So for me, and to this day, I still really appreciate the opportunity for an organization to teach me about the early prevention so I can break that stereotype. So I can change that cycle that I saw with my family, with my other relatives, that was going on in my community. Now, I'm doing all this and everything is going great. Everything is going great. The Housing Authority gave me a part-time job because I've made a change. I'm not making a lot of those decisions that I was making. I was a teenager now, and that environment still was holding on to me. I ended up getting in trouble, ended up going to jail, ended up getting on probation. I'm like, now, to me, really, like I'm going down that same road that they were trying to prevent me from going down. But didn't give up, didn't kick me to the curb, stayed there, supported me, communicated with me, and continued to tell me the things I need to hear to keep me from falling in those same pitfalls that they saw that I was going into. So I made a turnaround. I got away from all those things. Ended up working for the Housing Authority, went back to school, ended up getting my GED, because by that point now, you know, I'm kind of embarrassed, getting a little too old to still be going to high school now. So I ended up getting my GED, but I wasn't making those bad decisions. I knew how to prevent myself from falling through those pitfalls. Because one of the programs that drug prevention do is called Keeping It Real. Keeping It Real, and the real stands for something. We talk about the R, talk to the young people about how to refuse. If someone come and ask you, hey, come on, let's go do some drugs, or let's go do this, let's go do that. You okay with saying, no, that's not what I want to do, that's not what I'm about. Then the E, you have to explain it sometimes. Sometimes you have to go deep, say, I'm an A student, or I'm into sports, and I believe in being healthy. I'm not going to mess my body up with anything. Or sometimes the A, sometimes you got to learn how to avoid those situations or those people. They may lead you in the wrong way. So you avoid even hanging around or being in those situations. Or the L, at the end of the day, if you hanging around those people in that situation and you see things going the way that you are taught and in the direction that you know is not right for you, you learn how to leave that situation. So now you keeping it real. You keeping it real. So with that, you learn how to be assertive. You learn how to tell them no. Stand up for yourself. Look them in the eye. Mean what you say, and do not be passive and be like, well, nah. You got to be assertive and stand up for yourself. Now, I learned all those things again through the intervention at an early age, constant intervention to say, these are the things that you can use to help you stay out of the situation that can send you down the wrong road if you want to reach all those goals and achieve those things that you want to achieve. So I just feel that it's very important for anybody to get involved or support an organization that's willing to come in to say, we're going to talk to them and get them right before they even get to that point. Before they get to that point, we can grab before they get to that point, we have a great chance of dealing with this kid, and other kids see this kid doing right, and then a cycle. Now you see, wait a minute, you can do better. You can be different, and it's okay to be different. At the end of the day, start working with the housing authority, made great decisions along the way, had great people still there as mentors, supporting me. I was still able to pass this information on, and I always wanted to be a firefighter. So I had the opportunity, one of my mentors was like, my cousin is a firefighter. I said, that's what I want to be a firefighter. Okay? They encouraged me to go with my education, go back to school. Now, I get on the Dallas Fire Department. I'm a firefighter, a paramedic, still in the business of helping people. And at the same time, I still work part-time with drug prevention resources, giving out the same information with kind of the same program that was given to me. Because I'm a living testimony to the fact where if it worked for me, I know that it can work for other young people that seem to be making bad decisions. For some reason, they might not just be hearing the right things they need to hear. I know parents talk to kids all the time, but sometimes, like I say, I have 3 kids, and it could be something like I did with my daughter with sports. I could be telling her something, I know I'm telling her right, but she get it better from that other coach sometimes. So I'm able to go and give these kids the same information that parents tell them, but for some reason, they're like, it makes sense coming from somebody else, and they listen. And it'd be amazing, you'll see the turnaround, and a lot of these kids, when you come and get ready to do your program, they be like, oh, here come Mr. Lott, here come Mr. Lott. And they running in there, getting ready to sit down to listen what you have to say because you make it interesting to them. You teaching them about how to stay out of trouble. You teaching them how to stay away from drugs, alcohol, and you tell them that as a young person, your body's still developing. And if you love yourself, you wouldn't do anything to harm yourself. So when you start at an early age putting alcohol, drugs, tobacco in your body, you hurting your growing process. And we show them pictures. We had a drug kids. Because another thing we realized and found out that you can teach them about the pitfalls of drugs and alcohol, different things. But think about this. If you don't do drugs and different things like that, how do they know what are drugs? So we have drug kits. Well, sometimes you show them because people that deal with drugs, they make them very creative. They make some of the drugs look like Skittles and look like candy. So somebody tell you, hey, get some of this candy. Yeah, I love Skittles. You pop them Skittles in your mouth, and before you know it, you acting all goofy and crazy. Everybody like, what's wrong with her? Never know what somebody just gave you some drugs. Somebody just gave you a little acid tab with a cartoon character on it. Kids love, cartoon character. Just hold this and just put it on your tongue. You don't have to do nothing. It'll just disappear. And the kid like, oh, that look like a tattoo or something. And when they do it, look, they just took acid because they never seen what it looks like. Now with this drug kit, we show them not to say, ooh, that's drug. No, they let them know. We teaching you how to say no, how we giving you strategies to stay away from drugs. But at the same time, sometimes you got to know what we telling you to stay away from, you have to know what it looks like. So you'll know, oh no, I remember Mr. Lott said, oh, we remember that. No, I don't want none, that's okay. But you learn how to get away from those type of situations. And so again, I'm a living testimony that early intervention is proven, it does work. Now I look at it like for me, I'm a firefighter, paramedic, and my wildest dream, never ever thought that I would have the opportunity. To this day, I see the older people than myself that remember me growing up, and they always say, I have my kids with me. Matter of fact, one of the guys, he works at Walmart, like, they had them guys, he was a greeter, and he was like, that's y'all daddy? Like, yeah, that's our daddy. Like, ooh, we just knew he was going to be dead or locked up. We just knew your dad was going to be dead or locked up. Ooh, they said, God is good, because they, coming up, I was just following that same path that I thought that's all it was. But the early intervention was put in place with drug prevention resources. I benefited from that program. And I know without a doubt, our kids can get that information and it can be useful. I use it in my own kids. Like when I go do the program at the centers, the Boys and Girls Club, the Park and Recs, different places I go do the program at home, just like we do Bible study at home, I do keeping it real at home with my kids. And I saw the benefit in it. It was just this year. My son's in 10th grade. And I go through, they done went through this program. They go see me do the program. He called me one day at school. He said, Daddy, guess what? I said, what? He said, we was at school and some guys, they said they were getting ready to leave school, go drink and go smoke some cigarettes or whatever. And they going to go get something to eat during lunch. And he was like, they were like, come on, Lamont. He's a junior, I'm the senior. Come on, Lamont, you go. He's like, now, he gave him, to bring me something to eat back. Just bring me something to eat back. Those same kids, that common story we hear all the time. Those kids left their campus, end up in a bad car wreck. Luckily, nobody died in that car wreck, but they were seriously hurt. Now, had he just went with them, and he was proud of himself, because he called me from school and said, Daddy, they invited me to go with them, and they be smoking cigarettes and stuff, that they was going to lunch, get something to eat. I just gave him my money. I told him, bring me something back. And he said, they had a car wreck. And I said, you proud of yourself? He said, yes, sir, I'm proud of myself. I said, I'm proud of you also. But again, that's from me, just passing on to him the same information that I pass on. And it just, just blessed that he was able to think and make the right decision at that time, and then allow that peer pressure to get the best of him to say, oh, Lamont, you a scary cat. You afraid, man. Come on, man. You not worried about what nobody else going to say, because you know you're making the right decision. So, again, early intervention, I think, is the best key. I benefited from it. My family tell you right today, they think I'm like, oh, I'm the best thing since slice of bread, because they saw the change in me. So they know that it works. It works. They know that it works. They saw the change in me. They look at me now, like I said, being a firefighter, being a paramedic, and now, like I said, I drive one of our battalion chiefs to the calls. So now my life is where, like when I drew that picture, when I wanted a house and different things that I wanted, I didn't really think it was possible, to be honest with you, because I didn't know nobody else that had that. I didn't know nobody else that had what I wanted, and I didn't know how to go about getting it. But coming through, then being around those mentors, now I started seeing those things. Just how to be a father, how to be a husband. So now I'm a husband, a father. I have 3 kids. My oldest son, he's 22. He's in the military. He's in the army. He's in Afghanistan right now. They actually get ready to come home in May. He said she'll be coming home. My 15-year-old son, he's in the 10th grade. And I have a 12-year-old daughter. She's in the 7th grade. So I never envisioned my life being family, working, good citizen, staying out of trouble, not afraid now when I ride around, see the police, like, wait. I don't have to worry about that no more because I'm making the right decision. And I started at an early age with the right intervention, learning how to make those right decisions. So I just want to thank you all again for listening to my brief story, and thank you all for coming.